Marriage counselors of Reddit. What's the stupidest reason a couple has made an appointment?
My anger management group facilitator told us a funny story about a couple that came in for counseling. The husband wanted to write a book. The wife said she would work and do everything around the house for a year while he worked on his book. So he quit work and wrote his book while she did everything. The book got published and was a hit. The publisher asked him to do a book signing tour. The wife was furious. She had supported him writing the book, and she was done. They came to the appointment and explained the situation. The therapist asked the wife, "So what would it take for you to be okay with the book tour?" She said, "A trip to Hawaii with my sister." The husband was like, "Really? Done." The appointment was over in 5 minutes.
If only it was always that easy.
That will be $500. You can pay on your way out.
I'm a clinical therapist, and had a client bring in their spouse for a session. They both have sporadically treated bipolar disorder. I can only assume what a wild ride their kids are on.
And I thought I had it bad with one parent with bipolar disorder. I work with a lot of kids, and I see far more stupid reasons that couples have not scheduled an appointment. Parents spill their guts while explaining what's wrong with their children, and 90% of the time it's the parents' marriage causing issues with the child and family. This is totally not a catch-all statement, because many children have true behavior and emotional challenges, separate from their parents' marriage, but at the same time, if you feel like your child is struggling and you have tried everything, maybe try marriage counseling.
It's always the dishes. I don't see couples anymore, because I cannot have one more conversation with adult human beings about the various philosophies of dishwashing.
As a younger person, I want to say that the game is rigged. We've learned from our parents, don't rush into marriage, test out sexual compatibility, check and check. But do you know how long it takes to establish dishwashing compatibility?
I can relate to this. I can't stand how my wife stacks the clean dishes in the drying rack. In my defense, she always does it in the most precarious ways so that you move one thing, and the entire stack falls over.
It's never just the dishes. It's how he assumes you will do them. It's how he doesn't see they need doing. It's how he doesn't notice you've run out of dishwash liquid, and gets shitty because somehow, it's not his job to buy it. Substitute dishes for laundry, and you've encapsulated my relationship.
This is wild. When I started dating my now wife, I volunteered to always do the dishes because it never bothered me. Strange that this is such a big deal for people.
Dad told me that the secret to a happy marriage was a dishwasher and 2 bathrooms.
Step 1 of marriage should be getting a dishwasher and making a list of how house chores will work. Not sex, not kids, not jobs, not the future, not holidays. Chores. Once you have that taken care of, you're allowed to proceed.
Husband and I bought a dishwasher about a year into our marriage. Haven't argued since.
Me and my boyfriend play a fun game, where he points out spots I've missed on the dishes when I'm washing them, and I ignore him.
Get a dishwasher. Then you can play a whole new game of whether big plates go at the front, or the back, and whether sharp knives go pointy end up or down, and whether you have to rinse dirty plates in the sink before putting them in the machine. Every night. For the rest of your life.
Here's one for you. My wife and I only ever fight about the kitchen, and it only happens when I clean it. Apparently, me cleaning the kitchen makes her feel like a bad wife who can't keep house. It feels really backwards, like shouldn't I get in trouble for not cleaning the kitchen?
My sister-in-law made an appointment for marriage counseling, because her husband greeted their dog before her when coming home from work.
I have no option, the dogs are literally at the door, ready for me to try and not trip over them.
My boyfriend greets our dog with more enthusiasm when he gets home from work, and sometimes it makes me sad.
When my parents were first dating, apparently my dad was always upset that my mom would greet the cat before greeting my dad. One day my mom told my dad, "I greet the cat first because he at least acts like he's happy to see me."
Husband claimed Reddit said he wasn't the asshole, wife said he was.
Husband shouldn't be seeking validation from outside sources, but wife is wrong to reject the judgment of unqualified internet experts.
My cousin went to counseling because her husband cuts the sandwich straight, instead of diagonal. When I first heard it, I thought it was a joke.
My husband now is 32, and won't eat a sandwich unless cut diagonal. I made the mistake of cutting it straight once as a prank. It wasn't funny. You don't mess with his diagonal sandwiches.
4 small triangle quadrants. This is the hill I die on.
Wow, what an idiot. Diagonal is obviously the best.
My boyfriend doesn't cut them at all. Serves them as a whole. I die for straight cut ones.
As he should have. What kind of barbarian cuts a sandwich straight?
When my husband or I make sandwiches, we always cut his straight across, and mine diagonally. It's easy to fix.
I have a feeling if you had your sandwich cut into 4 little triangles at work, everyone would turn to look at you.
It's a symptom to a larger problem, lack of communication and/or consideration between the couple. When something as simple as, "Please cut my sandwich like this," becomes an issue, it is probably the last straw. Or they are dumb and deserve ridicule. You decide.
You're supposed to cut it into a spiral with a pizza cutter for one long sandwich you can slurp down.
Guy I knew, from an inbred part of the country, everyone had the same last name, went to a counselor to deal with the issue that his brother was screwing his girlfriend, she was their cousin. Counselor said, "Nope, too weird for me," and sent him on his way.
Sweet Home, Alabama.
Why go across the street when you can go across the hall?
Clearly West Virginia.
Georgia on my mind.
All my exes live in Texas.
A lot of couples schedule counseling for legitimate reasons like communication issues, but then it will come out that the real reason is something stupid and they don't even realize it. I had a couple married 25 years who were struggling to connect, and it turned out they were resentful of each other, because they both wanted to spend various holidays with their families of origin. Never talked about it, never mentioned it, just both simmered in silent resentment for 25 years. It was resolved so quickly once it was unearthed. Another couple came in for parenting challenges. Told me very casually they hadn't had sex since their youngest was conceived. How old is your youngest? 13. Both were acting like it was completely normal and fine and unrelated. Turned out it was not normal and not fine and definitely related. Referred for sex therapy and heard the whole family happily graduated from therapy within months. The entire family was seeking therapy with different counselors for different reasons, or so they thought. No, they were not doing family sex therapy. I can't believe I just typed family sex therapy.
Never talked about it, never mentioned it, just both simmered in silent resentment for 25 years. Well, that's not communication issues.
I watched a video about a Japanese couple that didn't say a word to each other for 20 years, because the husband got jealous of the attention his wife was giving to the kids, and then they just got used to not speaking. Crazy that there's another couple that made it longer. My specialty is children and families, but during the pandemic I was assigned whatever came in, because it has been super busy. One lady called and spoke with me first about how her husband was horrible at communication and never listened to her. She asked for a couples session. As soon as she ambushed her husband with "There is a therapist on the line that wants to speak with you," her husband screamed. "You called a therapist because I don't want to paint the house purple." She wanted me to convince him to paint the house purple, and like any normal human who sees colors, he refused to listen to her.
In the land of the colorblind, the man with taste shall be king.
I had a woman come in for couples counseling. Over the phone she reported that her boyfriend, with the same last name, very confusing, was distant and was refusing to listen. When the session started, it was just her that showed up. She went on and on about how absent he was, and how he refused to see the progress she had been making in her life. It turns out the boyfriend was an ex who had a restraining order against her, and lived halfway across the country from her. She was delusional and was receiving treatment for her mental health issues. She just could not get her thinking away from him, and legally changed her last name to his, because it would mean they would be together. She figured couples counseling was the way to work out their relationship issues. Edit, not sure this is the stupidest, but it is definitely the most bizarre reason I have had someone make an appointment.
Wow. This is by far the most insane one on this thread.
Kinda feel sorry for that woman. Sure, her obsession is wrong and unhealthy, but she clearly needs help.
It's interesting to see all the comments here, about how insane this is. I'm a therapist, but not a couples therapist, and especially among individuals with more chronic mental illnesses, this is not that uncommon, unfortunately.
Not a counselor. But me and my ex had the biggest fight, known later as the spoon incident. We were both working over 60 hours a week, and were stressed. Nonetheless, we had one night off together, so I made sure that I had cleaned the house and everything before she came home. She came back while I was unpacking the dishwasher, and put the last cutlery in the drawers. When I finally put a spoon in the drawer, she said, "That's not where it's supposed to go." I asked her whether this is the way you want to treat me after I've cleaned the house and stuff. Never been so pissed at a GF, while it was actually fairly meaningless.
The spoon incident sounds pretty much like my entire relationship with my ex. No matter what I did, it was always not quite good enough.
Reading some of these makes me wonder if counseling would have saved my marriage. Then again, I think actually wanting to save your marriage is a prerequisite for marriage counseling to be successful.
My counselor called me, and told me that in 25 years of practice, he'd never had to make this call, but that if I didn't get out of the marriage, my life was in danger, and that I was probably married to a sociopath. Turns out, I had literally just left him, but damn, was that confirmation I needed to get out. So, counseling doesn't always fix things. Sometimes it's just the perspective you need, to see that things are broken beyond repair.
Just popping in to remind everyone not to be shy to get marriage counseling, even if you think it might be too stupid based off this thread. Counselors get your money, and it's still their job to help you regardless.
Agreed. My wife is a therapist, and she genuinely cares about the well-being of her clients. My sister and her husband got pre- and post-marriage counseling. We thought it would be pointless, and they'd be divorced by the end of their first year anyway. That was 6 years ago.
Well friends, that's all for now. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we would love to hear your stories in the comments below.